Daf Yud. Yesterday we had problems in the Gemara. Some of the problems I still have, I don't know. But one big find was that the Mefarshim say that on Amud Beis, we had brought down a few times Rabbi Yehuda. I'll just highlight it for a second. Rabbi Yehuda, and then again, this was changed to Rabbi Yehuda also. The Gersa changed it. It's really supposed to be Rabbi Yehuda. And then again, it says Rabbi Yehuda again. The issue about Rabbi Yehuda, who's Rabbi Yehuda over here? So the Mefarshim understood that it means Rabbi Yehuda of our Mishnah, that explains in the Sefer that the machlok is about Nazir from figs. Tanakama says that the machlok is if he's a Nazir or not, and Yehuda says no, nobody holds that he's a Nazir. The only question is if he's also in the figs or not. That was Rabbi Yehuda, and the Mefarshim here learned the Gemara about that Rabbi Yehuda, and I didn't understand how it's possible to do that. So I just suggested that maybe the Tanakama of the following machlokis in Menachos about that it says a couple of cases over there, Sorim or Kema, other kinds of Menachos that you can't bring. Tanakama says he's chayv regular mincha, and Reb Shimon is the one who says Shalos Nadav Kederach HaMisnadvim, that he didn't make the neder in a regular way, so it doesn't take effect at all. So I suggested that it sounds like the Tanakama of Reb Shimon is Rabbi Yehuda. It doesn't say Rabbi Yehuda, it just says the Chachamim. The Gemara doesn't call him Rabbi Yehuda. But if the Tanakama would be Rabbi Yehuda, so then that's when the Gemara is always talking about Rabbi Yehuda against Reb Shimon. That's Rabbi Yehuda we're talking about. And that's the mandama that says that if he says something that's impossible, like a mincha from Sorim, you have to bring a mincha from Chitim. And here too, you said a Nazir from grows from figs, here a regular Nazir. So my Charusa found that in the Tosefta it says many times that Tanakam is Rabbi Yehuda. That it is true. The fact is true. This Tanakam is Rabbi Yehuda. The Tanakam of this Mishnah in Menachos, the one who says that if he says a Re'alai Mincha Min HaSorim is Chaytu Mincha Nachitim, it did for Rabbi Yehuda. So that fact at least is true. That Rabbi Yehuda is a Tanakam of Rabbi Shimon, and he holds that you don't say Shalos Nadav Kederach HaMisnadvim, even if he said something that doesn't make sense. It is an eder. So if he says Mincha Min HaSorim, he has to bring Chitim. And in our Mishnah, he would be the one who would say, Arei Allah, Arei Nazir Min HaGrogros. It's possible to say that he's a Nazir Min HaYayin. The rest of the problems that I had, I didn't have any headway. They seem to be problems. But at least this one point does seem to be verified that the Tanakama and Menachos is Rabbi Yehuda. Daf Yud. So today is going to be an interesting sugya. That's even the case, not the halachas, but the case. And here it goes. Amar, you got a little bit into the culture of how people thought and spoke, and interesting. Amar.
I know it was everyone. It was good. It was that better than
enough that the Mishnah put a case like that.
We had cases that's on Kash 100 times one day. Whatever you have, they say extreme.
Okay, but okay, fine, good. Amar, the person said, this is the quote. What he said. This cow is saying, we're putting words into the cow's mouth. Like by Bilam, the donkey's mouth, here we have the para, not that the cow talked, but the man is saying that this cow seems to be saying. So the Rush brings down that sometimes the pasuk itself animates inanimate objects, like by the ship by Yonah, that it says that there was a storm and the ship seemed like it was going to sink. So the pasuk expresses it that the ship was thinking of sinking, not that the ship was thinking. But that's the way you talk. And here he's putting the words into the cow's mind that I'm a Nazira. The cow is feminine, so she says Nazira. If I'm going to stand. So the Gemara is going to say that the scenario was that the cow was lying down and wasn't getting up, and she says to herself, "I'm not getting up." And the way that she expresses herself, of course, she didn't say anything, but the way that he expressed her thoughts was that if I get up, I'm a Nazir. It's like the person makes a bet and says, "If this is going to happen, I'm going to be a Nazir." Like I bet it's not. And if it's going to happen, I make myself a Nazir. Like I'll give $1 million if this is true. It's not true. I mean, he would say it's not true. So here, the cow is so determined on not getting up, or so weak it's not able to get up, or so determined that it's going to be stubborn, but I'm not getting up, and I'm a Nazira if I get up. So we would take this like okay, that's the way people. Okay, that's the way he's talking about the thoughts of the cow. What does it have to do with him? It doesn't have any. We would think it doesn't have any halachic implications, but the Mishnah is going to talk about it. Or another case, similar case. I didn't highlight it because it's the same idea. He's trying to get the door to get open, and it's locked, it's budged. He can't get it open. And he says that this door seems to be saying, I'm a Nazir, as if the door is talking. We're putting the words into the door's mouth. The door doesn't even have a mouth, but the cow has a mouth at least. But here it doesn't even have, but he's putting this thought into the door as if the door is saying, I'm not opening. And if I open, I'll become a Nazir. So again, what does that have to do with the person? The cow or the door, they'll become a Nazir. Yes, no, what's the difference? There's no such thing. But the Mishnah says, the Beis Shammai says, Nazir. He himself meant to accept upon himself Nazirus. And if the cow gets up, or if the door gets opened, the man is a Nazir. His halom remain a Nazir. It's all we understand. But Beis Shammai needs explanation. And then Rabbi Yehuda argues similarly to what he did in the Mishnah before, that even Beis Shammai doesn't mean that he's a Nazir. Rabbi Yehuda af keshamru Beis Shammai, or omru ella be'omer or ke'omer harei parazu like korban imomed desi. Nothing to do with Nazirus. It's just a question if the door, if the cow or the door become usher to him. That same thing that I mentioned before. That's not a Nazirus. Even Beis Shammai only meant to say that he's going to be usher to benefit from the cow or usher to benefit from the door, but not that he meant to be a couple on himself Nazirus. So the Mishnah needs explanation. What does Beis Shammai mean to say that if the cow or the door it's put into the mouth of the cow and the door that I'll be a Nazira, that the man is a Nazir? So the Gemara asks very straight to the point. Para mikam mishtoya, does the cow talk? Cows don't talk. So what's happening? So we understood that that's what the Mishnah means, that he's talking in the name of the door. Amar Rami Bar Chama. So there's going to be two shittas in the Gemara. There's Rami Bar Chama on top of the page, and it's going to be Rav on the bottom of the page, and Amud Beis. So Rami Bar Chama is the first shot. That part we got also, that it must have been that the cow was lying, and then it wasn't getting up. This cow thinks that it's not getting up. That's what she seems to be thinking. I'm not getting up. He didn't say that the cow was saying I'm a Nazir. He means to say I'm going to become a Nazir if it gets up. He's not arguing with the cow. He's not like saying, "Oh, you say this, I'm going to say the opposite." He's saying in the same direction as the cow is saying. The cow seems not getting up. So I'm very. I think it's true. She's not getting. Like he's saying on himself what the cow seems to be doing, and it seems like it's not getting up. If it gets up, I'm a Nazir.
If it gets up,
I'll
be a
I'm a Nazir.
That's how sure I am that it's not.
That's not getting up. And if it gets up, I'm a Nazir. And it got up. So Beis Shammai says he's a Nazir. But now the main word that Rami Chama is going to put into the Mishnah, which it doesn't say in the Mishnah, and the whole scenario, even though it's very interesting and a bit amusing, all that you don't need. You don't need all that. The issue is, he said, Hareini Nazir Mebisora. I'm a Nazir from its meat. And that's mamish yesterday's sugya. I'm a Nazir from figs. There's no such thing as a Nazir from figs. There's no such thing as a Nazir from meat. A Nazir means from wine. So the main word is missing. And Rabbi Bachama sticks it in. And the issue is going to be, Bisham V'Yisrael, if there's such a thing, when a person says, I'm a Nazir from meat, does he become a Nazir from wine? The same issue as yesterday.
I thought it said yes.
And here again he says yes. And Bisham says no. And here again he says no. And the whole story you don't need it. They could have said simple. He said, I'm a Nazir from meat. Instead of this whole story about the cow lying down and the cow is talking, he's talking in the name of the cow and talking in the name of the door. You don't need the whole thing. You just need Hareini Nazir Mibisara or Hareini Nazir from the Delis. So a Nazir from the door. So there's no such thing. He'll say there's no such thing. And Beis Shammai would say Hareini Nazir means a Nazir. And then he wants to be mitcharei, so he says that doesn't mean to say I'm also from the door. Mamish a repeat of yesterday's Gemara, and the whole scenario was unnecessary. So I mean to ask a question, but I'm just saying that's what the Gemara seems to say. That has nothing to do with any fancy case. The case was a fancy case, and the main point of the is missing, that he's supposed to know that it means it's talking about the meat, and by the door it's talking about benefiting from the door. And he didn't mean to say, I'm also from the door. He said, I'm a Nazir from the door. And Bisham is going to say, you became a Nazir. And they go consistently with their opinion of the daf before, the mission before. Bisham may say that just like before yesterday, it said if they made himself a Nazir from figs, so he's a Nazir. And the Gemara explained yesterday because when he said I'm any Nazir, it takes effect. And afterwards, he's just trying to what the more call it, end of the Motzi Dvav. He's not going to say a shtus. So when he said he's a Nazir from figs, he meant I ran a Nazir. Then he wanted to change, and Beis Shammai hold that you can't change, you can't retract, because Nazirus B'Torah says a Nazirus. So therefore, he's a Nazir. And the same thing over here. The same exact thing. I'm a Nazir from a smith, or the safe I'm a Nazir from the door. He means to say I'm a Nazir, he's a Nazir. Nazir, same as yesterday. That you could, the way the Gemara explained yesterday, that you could be shoel on the Nazirus. Also, the Gemara said that he holds like a, okay, that was something else. That was as far as it doesn't become Nazir as the figs. Okay, so leave it at that. That Beisol says that you could be Choseh, so he's not a Nazir. Simple shot. It made the Mishnah very simple, even though the Mishnah doesn't say that. But the idea will be very simple, same as yesterday. The Gemara has the kasha now that this is a repeat of yesterday. So why do you need another example? We spoke about figs, now we're talking about cow and door. It's all the same. That's the kasha of Amur Bisham.
Yesterday, the machlokes was that he said,
I'm a Nazir from figs.
Over here, he's having a dialogue, not dialogue.
That's a side point, not arguing. He's expressing himself through the cow's mouth, through the door's mouth. He made a Tanai. The Tanai was
that's not Kiddush that we consider that's a Yad or Kinoi.
Okay, but the Gemara sees that the main Kiddush is this. I think that they do ask you kasha, maybe. I saw that kasha was asked, that there's a side Kiddush, but it's clothed in the machlokes of Beisham B'Silo. That the machlokes Beisham B'Silo is only going to be the issue of yesterday. It's not, you may say in Beisham there might be a Kiddush. That's also a way to be Mekabel Nazirus, to talk in the cow's mind. And that he means to say, that's what he means to say. But Machlokes Beisham B'Silo was the same as yesterday. So they said it one time already. They said it yesterday's Mishnah. It's a kasha. The answer is Amarava Tati plus. It says 2 or 3 cases of the same thing. Tati means 2 or 3. Tati is 2. Tatlas is 3. So Rava, Rabchia, Raboshai, they all say the same thing.
Even if they said it 2 or 3 times.
So that's the kasha now. Why is it necessary? It's tzrichi. Means the main point is going to say tzricha. Usually in the regular nusach of the Gemara and the Shas Bavli, it would say Bam Vesham Echad Zimna tzrichi. That's but here Gemara goes a little bit more to say that in Enochnami it says it 2 or 3 times. It is the same thing, 2 or 3 times, and there's a reason why you need all this chidushim in all the 3 times.
There was the
figs and the cow.
Oh, and the cow
and the door.
And the door. I see 3 times, 2 or 3 times. Okay, 2 and 3 times.
I need all 3. The Iyat Mabahad Gross of the Pay. If I only would have said yesterday's Mishnah about the figs, I'm a Nazir from figs. And Beis Shammai says there's a Nazir. So you might think, yesterday we said the reason is because he doesn't say foolishness, and there is no such thing as a Nazir from figs. So he meant to say Areni Nazir, and that's registered. And then he wants to be Choser Torah Dibor, and he can't be Choser because Beis Shammai say he can't be Choser. Ain't Shayla Nazirus. But you would have thought differently. You might think the reason why he's a Nazir over there is not because it's fancy pshat we just said yesterday, that he became yet a Nazir period, Areni Nazir, comma, and then he wants to be Choser. But you might think because a Nazir from figs is close enough to grapes to make a mistake. Either he made a mistake or someone will make a mistake. And if we're going to say that a Nazir from grapes is nothing, so then he'll make himself a Nazir from grapes, and he's also going to think it's nothing. So we have to make a gzeira, even though there's no such thing as a Nazir from figs. But we made that it should become a Nazir. And he's also in wine, of course, not Nazir in figs. He's also in wine because it's very similar.
It's very similar, or it's because it's one of the Sheva.
It says Mechlafan means that it's confusable.
Mm-hmm.
How can it be confusable? Either because whatever pshat you say is good.
It's one of the fruits.
One of the fruits, phrase are very thrilled, or because they say maybe also it's intoxicating a bit. Whatever you want to say, or whatever you're going to say, you could say that it looks similar. Fig and a grape are similar enough. Whatever you want to say. But there's no confusion between meat or and a door to grapes. So therefore, there's no reason they should have made a gezerah. So our Mishnah tells you that even this also, even the meat is also usher. So just say meat. Why do you have to say, let's say, don't figs? The Gemara goes both ways. It's 1, 2, and 3. If it only say 1, you wouldn't know 2. If it would only say 2, you wouldn't know 1. Then the Gemara is going to go further. If it say 1 and 2, you wouldn't know 3. So here we're going that if it would say 2, you wouldn't know 1. If it would have said meat, I would have thought that meat and wine go together. So it's true that there's no such issue for a Nazir to eat meat, but it goes together. It accompanies wine. So when he says this asur and meat, we're going to say that that's also similar to wine. And if he made a Nazir from meat, that's the way he talks about wine. And if you're going to say that that's nothing, so then he's going to think he's mutter also. Regular Nazir is also mutter to drink wine. So we put
Basar is like wine.
That's not like wine. It's accompanies wine. Like people have a nice meal, they have basar v'yayin, right? That's how every respective.
I didn't see where it says that. Oh, basar v'chamra. I'm sorry. How do you read the sentence? Itmar basar.
Well, I would say achlu dami b'shamay v'nazir b'bisra v'chamra. It doesn't say an explanation. It just says because of meat and wine. Bisra v'chamra.
He'd be a nazir with basar and chamra.
Which means that there's some connection between meat and wine that's more than grapes and.
I thought
figs.
Originally with the grogeris we said he would only be a nazir and nothing with the grogeris.
We're talking about being a nazir. If one case
it says he's going to be a nazir with meat too.
No, it doesn't mean that he's going to be a nazir with meat. It means that he's usher to.
He's going to be a nazir.
I thought the shot is to be a nazir because meat and wine, because of the meat and the wine, they go together. So we made a
with
package
his saying
deal.
of the basar.
How else could you learn that he's usher to eat the meat? Nazir. The Gemara at this point doesn't mean that. The Gemara is
You're
saying that he's really a nazir.
Means that with his saying the two of them, that's why he's a nazir.
Right, but Rogus is very low. What?
He's only saying one. He's only saying meat.
He said meat. There's going to be usher because meat goes together with the wine. So then we're going to make him a nazir. But Rogus don't have any connection to wine. Grogros is very low. You might have thought that only meat is going to be a gezerah. That's exchangeable, confusable. I think that's what the Gemara means. But figs are not. Kamash malons, you have to have chidushim. That no difference if he says figs or if he says wine. All these things make him a nazir according to Beis Shammai. And even these two wouldn't be enough. The Yitma Hani Tati would have said figs and meat. I would say Hani Yudikami Beis Shammai. Only these two cases, as we just said. One is because it is confusable with wine and grapes and figs, and one is because it goes together, so it accompanies the meat and wine. But if say I'm a nazir from the door, there's no such thing. And Beis Shammai also would say that it's not a nazir. So I'd have to say that even if he says I'm a nazir from the door, Beis Shammai say he meant really to say I'm a nazir, period, and he's a full nazir. And then the door, he's trying to get out of it and to be choser, I'm less nazir from the door. And he cannot be choser toch dibur, and Beis Hillel says that he could. And let us say only number 3.
Did we do the modul? Did you say the modul?
Avaldel the same modul hulu Beis Hillel. You might think that
He would.
Beis Shammai would read Beis Hillel that is not a nazir. That's why I'd have to say number 3. That's why I'd have to say delas. Now we go backwards. Vitana delas. If I only would say number 3, the Hakami Beis Hillel, then I would think Beis Hillel saying that's nothing. There's no reason to make a gezerah over there because there's no such confusion about making a nazir with a door. I might think that he would agree to Beis Shammai. There's room to make a gezerah by a nazir from grapes, from figs, or a nazir from meat. Maybe Beis Hillel would say there's some gezerah you have to make. Mashmalan below. So the Mishnah has to tell us all 3 cases. The Beis Shammai is going to say in all 3 cases he is a nazir, and Beis Hillel is going to say in all 3 cases he's not a nazir. But in short, what does Rabbi Yochanan do? That this Mishnah, in essence, is just saying Hareini Nazir mi basar, Hareini Nazir mi delas, and the whole case about putting the words into the cow's thoughts is lying down, is standing up, and you don't need all that. The whole issue is just Hareini Nazir mi basar, Hareini Nazir mi delas. And I don't know why it says the whole scenario with the condition and everything. And it happens to be this. I'm getting difficult. I'm just going to say the difficulties, and I don't know the answer. That in the words of the explanation, Rabbi Bachama said, I'm a nazir from its meat, which is the main word over here. I'm a nazir from the meat, if it's going to get up on its own. And it got up on its own. Did he have to say that? That it got up on its own? That's not the point of Rabbi Yerucham at all. If it got up on its own, if the people got it up, if you got a crane to get it up, that's not a point. But the Gemara continues it as if it's a main point or some important point, and the Gemara is a kasha now.
Because he still wants to fit it into the words of the Mishnah a little bit.
So, and if the Mishnah doesn't say it got up by itself, so say it didn't get up by itself. Did he have to? Right away, the Gemara is going to say, does it say it got up by itself? Like that's an attack. So remember, Muhammad said so. So it didn't get up by itself. I erase this word over here. Like if somebody would want to, I would say, okay, like you got me on the word. Take out the word me'elah. I would have thought. But the Gemara makes it very serious. As if Rabbi Muhammad needs in his pshat that it got up by itself, and therefore Rabbi attacks him. Amar Rabba, 5 lines from the bottom. Mikatan yamda me'elah. It doesn't say it got it by itself. So what's the case? So Rabbi Muhammad said the case was that he said, I'm a Nazir from its meat if it got it by itself. As far as I understand the Gemara could have said, forget about the whole thing. Already Nazir B'Basara. It's true, the Mishnah says the case about a story getting up. So it doesn't say it got it by itself. Okay, so it didn't get so this is a kasha that I don't understand. And also I'm not going to understand when we get to the further Gemara. Rabbi's going to answer it. It's also going to be difficult, but that's what
it sounds like it's a tonight.
Yes, he made it tonight. I'm becoming a Nazir from his meat if it got up. And it got up. But he says a little bit more. If it gets up by itself, and it got up by itself. And that's why he's a Nazir, because the Tanai was fulfilled. And Rabba's kasha is, it doesn't say it got up by itself. Okay, so I would say, okay, so erase the word. It didn't get up by itself. Was Rabbi Yerucham have to be so insistent that it got up by itself? He did happen to say so, but is that something that Rabbi Yerucham had to say? It's not part of his pshat. It says in the Mishnah, if I get up. So that doesn't say I get up by itself. It doesn't say if I get up by it. So okay, so Rabbi Yerucham did put it in, but does he need it for his pshat? The way I'm saying the pshat in the Gemara, it doesn't seem to make sense. That wasn't part of Rabbi Yerucham's issue, and Rabbi is going to knock him down because of that one kasha. Amar Rabba, mikatani yamada me'elah, doesn't say that. Okay, El Amar Rabba, new pshat, and we have to see as the new pshat comes by if it's going to be any better. El Amar Rabba, kigon shehoisa paru revusa lapanav, v'amru harei like carbon. I put in parentheses because the words are Rabba didn't finish the sentence yet, and the Gemara stops him short and corrects it. First, he started saying the case was also that the cow was lying. That's fine. And he said, Harei like carbon. He didn't finish the sentence. Of course, something about getting up. That's what it says in the Mishnah, Mamda. But even before we finish, the Gemara stops short. He said, I'm making the cow a carbon if it gets up. That's going to be the end of the sentence. But right away, the Gemara stops. That's not going to fit in the end of the Mishnah where it talks about a door. The words he's saying don't make sense to fit into the Mishnah because he didn't make the door a carbon. Okay, so Rabbi didn't mean to say that. Rabbi meant, and now we're just going to continue the sentence where he meant to say it. Not about a carbon. Back to the Nazir. He didn't say, he said Nazir. But here he says Nazir miyayin. Rabbi Yerucham's main point was to say Nazir mi-basar. That was his whole point. He didn't say in the Mishnah the word basar either. But Rabbi Yerucham's pshat, his main pshat was that the machlokes was, he said, I'm a Nazir from meat. Bishamai says that's a Nazir, Rishon says it's not a Nazir, but Rabbi doesn't accept that. He says it's a regular Nazir. I'm a Nazir, im lo amda. That's what he said. I'm a Nazir. Now again, the cow is lying down and not moving, not getting up, not budging. And the man says that the cow is saying, I'm a Nazira if I get up. Here, the translation of those words are in lo amda. I'm a Nazir. The man means to say that I'm a Nazir if it's not going to get up. It could be that that's going to be the reaction. Like the cow is being so stubborn and saying as if he's saying, I'm a Nazir if I do get up. The man says, you say you're a Nazir if you do get up. I'm a Nazir if you don't get up. Now we have a debate, there's something to talk about. It's getting more exciting, but what happened at the end? Then it got up. He's ready to get his crane or something like that. He's going to call the whole town to pick up the cow. And then it got up. Maybe he got scared. The cow got scared. He's coming.
Maybe a lion came or something.
It's not such a person, because a person that, if you want to become Nazir, she should have a logical explanation.
You don't make such thing on an anger and this. He seems to be getting angry, this guy, doesn't he? I hear.
I understand. Want to prove a point that this guy's going nowhere. How sure am I that I'd be a Nazir? Because
If he didn't
that's
get
how
up,
sure I am.
then I is gonna get up.
Okay,
Okay,
so you're
and the
not-
mice said got up, but he was ready to get it. He started rolling up his sleeves, and the cow got up. Maybe he got scared of him, whatever, but he got it by itself. He didn't have to touch it. So now that's gonna be the machlokas.
He wouldn't want to touch it. would
He
He
said,
didn't want to be. a
but what
Nazir.
did he mean when he said that? So that's the question now. That's going to be Bisham Beisilel. When he says I'm a Nazir, if it doesn't get up, that means I'm a
Nazir.
Nazir if it doesn't get up. Does that mean to say I'm a Nazir?
Oh, that means, I'm a
Yeah.
Nazir if it doesn't get up, means he does want it to get up. I see.
Right.
I assume he doesn't want
He
to. be a
wants it. He
Nazir.
surely wants it to get up. That's the yeah.
Oh, I got it the wrong
like you said, like you said it. That the cow says I'm not budging. I'm a Nazir if I get up. The man said I'm a Nazir if you don't get up. It means you're getting up.
I see.
So there are two ways to put that into his words. Either he means I'm getting you up. I'm a Nazir if I don't get you up, or I'm a Nazir if you don't get up. Both of them could be put into the words. That's going to be Shammai Zillah. What was his nether? His essence. I look for the word Torah. If the article says essence. Nice translation. The essence of this man means when he made that announcement, that declaration, he meant to say, "I'm getting you up." Don't get you up now. It was like they pulled the rug off. He didn't have a chance. He got his muscles ready, and then she stood up. Okay, so at the Haloach Muah, he said, "If I don't get you up, we have to change the words a little bit." I mean, he said the Malo Umda, but Rabbi Shammai says that means if I don't get you up. So he didn't get her up. So Rabbi Shammai says, "Ukma means to stand her up." The man meant to say, "Ukma biyadeh." The main word is biyadeh. Ukma biyadehu. The essence of his nether of his tanai was, if I don't get you up. And he didn't get her up because she got up by herself. So he's a Nazir because the tanai was Mekuyim. That he said, I'm a Nazir if I don't get you up. He should be a Nazir because he didn't get her up. It's still Sabi, that's not what he meant. He meant to say, if she doesn't get up, it doesn't make a difference if I get her up. I'm ready to get her up, but that's not my point. The point is he should get up. Mishum de review. Review means lying. Well, how come? And she got up. So that's the machlokas. Machlokas is nothing to do with the Nazirus. It's nothing to do with the previous mission. The previous mission was about Nazirus from figs. And Rami Racham's whole shot was this mission is Nazirus from meat, Nazirus from the door. Rabbi says that's not the Pshat B'chlal. It's a regular Nazirus of wine. But there was a Tanai. And the question is, what does this Tanai mean? And it's nothing to do with Nazirus either. You could have put it someplace else in the Dorim or in Hilchos Tanoim. It has nothing to do with Nazirus. It happens to be this. The scenario was Nazirus. He could have said a Musar from bread. It's nothing to do with Nazirus. The question, what does the Tanai mean? When a person responds to the cow that's not getting up, that if it doesn't get up, so and so what does he mean? If it doesn't get up by itself, or I'm not going to get it up. That's how Rabba learns and also the main question that he said was, it's even more essential than Rabba's pshat, and the whole kashi had on Rami B'chama's pshat that doesn't say those words. And because of that, he knocked on Rami B'chama's pshat, and he said a pshat that also needs Amda Me'ileh, even more essential than Rami B'chama needed it, and it doesn't say those words. This is like a mystery. The Gemara is a mystery.
Beishamai is saying he's a Nazir because he didn't get the cow up.
Right.
And Beis Hill is saying
He's not a Nazir because the cow got up. That's all he meant. The more kasha that the way you're saying it doesn't make sense because Abuda argues in the Sefer and says that he's not a Nazir. It's only Abuda in the Mishnah, at the end of the Mishnah.
Yeah.
Just scroll back. He said that no. Abuda said that Beishami also only means that he's usher in the meat, parazua like carbon, but not that he's a Nazir. Tanakama says according to Beishami is a Nazir. Abuda says according to Beishami the meat is usher. Nothing to do with Nazirus. But if the case was that he said that was like in the last Mishnah,
because it got up, that means that the meat is usher to him,
right,
like a korban.
Right. But what does it have to do with yesterday made a lot of sense that there was I'm a Nazir from figs. So you could say, does that mean I'm a Nazir? Rabbi Shami says he's a Nazir. Is he a Nazir from wine? Or is he going to be a Nazir from the meat? Which Abdullah says he's also in the meat, like a regular Isser Neder. But here, if the case was the way Rabbi explained, according to Rabbi Becham also would have been good. I'm a Nazir from the meat. I'm a Nazir from the door. So Bishami says he's a Nazir. Maybe this is he's not a Nazir. According to Bishami, is just usher in the meat, usher in the door. But basically, according to this shot that he said, I'm a Nazir B'yayin. Is there anything to talk about? I'm a Nazir B'yayin, so we really can't argue on that. Yachi Yem Sefer. Torah, that's the Mishnah. Did he make the cow to be usher at all? According to this explanation of Rava, the case was that he said, I'm a nazir from wine. If he said, I'm a nazir miyayin, with a condition, or whatever the condition is, even if the condition was fulfilled, is anybody going to say that he's also on the meat? He said, I'm a nazir miyayin. So that's some flaw in Rava's pshat. So we have to edit it again. Rava, we're still going with Rava. So we're back to the basar again. We're back to the basar. Same as Rami Rechama said, back to the basar. And that's where this room from Machlokes Tanakam and Rabbi Yehuda. Tanakam said, according to Beishamai, is a nazir, a regular nazir from wine. The whole sugi of yesterday, that if you say Hareini Nazir Basar, doesn't make sense. So you meant to say Hareini Nazir, and then you tried to change it, and we're not going to let you change it. But he remains a nazir from wine. But what's the machlokes here? There's something about amda. What happened over here? So here, Rabbi goes back to the chat that he just finished saying. He just had to edit from nazir miyayin, and he had to change it to nazir mibasa, because the else Abida wouldn't make sense. But it's the same machlokes Bisham Beis Hillel about what did he mean in the Tanai when he said, if it doesn't get up, I'm going to be a nazir from basa. The ma'isa amda me'ela got up by itself. So this Gemara, this Mishnah, as the Gemara is going to explain right away, even though Beis Hillel says there's no such thing as a nazir from basa, that was yesterday's Gemara, nazir from figs, nazir from a door, nazir from basa is also nothing. But this Mishnah is assuming that everybody holds that there is such a thing as nazir from basa would make him nazir in wine, like Beis Shammai. The Gemara is going to explain that Beis Hillel is talking Beis Shammai language, and the only question is, what is the Tanai? So here we go back to repeat it again, that he made a Tanai. If it doesn't get up, I'm going to be a nazir from, I'm going to be a nazir basa. So Beis Shammai says that the essence meant, if I don't get it up, Beis Shammai sabi torfei dahu gava mishum ukmu biyodayu v'lo ukma. He meant to say, if I'm not going to get it up,
What was torfei?
torfei is the essence.
Oh, that's the word essence.
At least in the context over here. I didn't look into the, you find some different, okay,
It came up earlier, you mentioned it. Essence.
yeah, it was here in the second, same, it's the Ramish repeat. This is, well, now we're going to
Torfei,
repeat
I didn't. Okay.
these words over here, these, torfei, second.
Thank you.
So Beis Shammai holds that the person's intent, his essence, and what he said was that I'm going to get it up. If I don't get it up, and the emphasis is on the word I. If I don't get it up, so I'm going to become a nazir mibasa. So he didn't get it up. Hello, he didn't get it up. So the Tanai was fulfilled, and therefore he becomes a nazir mibasa. Which Beis Shammai holds a nazir mibasa is a regular nazir. But Beis Hillel say that his Tanai was not fulfilled.
No, it was not fulfilled. Yeah,
was not fulfilled.
because it got up, so it wasn't.
Because it got up. The essence of his declaration was that it's lying down. It's going to get up. I don't care how it gets. It's going to get up, and it did get up. So therefore, he's not a nazir. So the whole machlokes is again the way Rabbi explained that. What did he mean by his tanai? When a person says with this cow scenario, or the door that's shut and it's not getting open, he said, if it doesn't open, does he mean to say if I'm not going to open it, or he means it's not going to get open? There was a problem, that's a technical problem that everybody jumps up, that Beis Hillel holds no such thing as a nazir from a bus, a nazir from a door. That's the same as yesterday, the nazir from the figs. So even if the Tanai would have been fulfilled, he also shouldn't be a nazir according to Beis Hillel. And the Gemara was going to say, right, he's just talking the language of Beis Shammai. Well, Beis Hillel sabri, here it starts, make a little dot over here. Beis Hillel sabri, kama sabi nazir. Beis Hillel holds if it doesn't get up, he is a nazir, means only because he said they did get up. The case was Beis Shammai that had a machlokas. What does it mean if it doesn't get up? Beis Shammai says if I don't get it up. Beis Hillel says if it doesn't get up.
It was a kasha. Huh?
Yeah, the one was asking Beis Hillel Yomashma that the whole problem is because the Tanai was not fulfilled. That's why he says not a nazir. And if the Tanai would have been fulfilled, it wouldn't have gotten up at all. It would have just remains lying down. It didn't get up, not by itself, not by anything. So then you would say the Tanai was fulfilled and he is a nazir. But you said in the Mishnah before, there's no such thing as a nazir from meat. You hold that if you made a nazir from figs, which is the same thing as meat and a door, it's not a nazir. So the answer is, he's going now in Beis Shammai's language, in Beis Shammai's opinion. I hold that there's no such thing. Even if he would have made a Tanai, there's no such thing. But the Tamai the Beis Shammai Kamri, Lindy done according to us ourselves, even if the Tanai would have been fulfilled, that the cow did not get up, also wouldn't be a Nazir because there's no such thing as a Nazir from meat. Or the way we said it, and if he made himself a Nazir from meat, a Nazir, and then right away Toch the Dibur he retracted, he may retract. That's called Sheila ben Nazirus. However, you can explain the Mishnah before by the Iranian Nazir Grogos. Yeah, it's the same thing. But even according to you, that say that he does become a Nazir, the Tchu, the Amisu having Nazir, but even according to you that say that a Nazir from meat is a Nazir from door is a Nazir, because we don't see at the beginning and then he can't be Choser anymore. But at least this case, talk about the Tanai. Agree to us that the essence of this person's declaration was that he wants it to get up, and it got up. So when he says, I'm a Nazir, if it doesn't get up and it got up, even on its own, it also did not be a Nazir. Or Bishamai says, Lav Torfei or Lav, whatever, no. I guess you have to take out the Lav, no. Torfei Dai Gavra Mishum Ukma Biyadehu. That the essence of his declaration was not if it's going to get up, but if I'm going to get it up. And I didn't get it up. He didn't get it up. He got it by his own. So therefore the Tanai was fulfilled, and therefore he's a Nazir. So I would say it's a terribly hard Gemara, because Rava's main kasha on Rami Bechama doesn't seem to be attacking Rami Bechama at all. If anything, it's attacking himself. And the other difficulties are also evident in the Mishnah, that if the cases that he said Basar doesn't say in the Mishnah Basar, left out that the word Basar is missing. And according to Rava's pshat, the question was how it got up, and that's also missing. It says Emomedes. So, and then, okay, what are we going to say? That this maybe that is not so difficult. That he said if it's going to get up, and the question and it got up. But the Mishnah surely, I think that the pshat in the Mishnah surely doesn't read that way. The Gemara seems to be a big drash in the Mishnah. Ad Kan. What comes out, just to summarize it, the two pshatim in the Mishnah, according to Rami Bechama, it's the same exact sugi as yesterday. If you make yourself a nazir from figs, meat, a door, which there's no such thing as a nazir. So Beshama is going to say that once you made yourself a nazir, takes effect and you can't retract anymore. But Yisrael says you could retract. Yesterday's sugi also included, are you going to be usher from the meat and from the figs and from the door? Forget about Nazir. So that was yesterday's sugya, and our Mishnah is hold that Tanakama would say that he is not going to be usher on those things either. And the Gemara put it into the Machlokes base Shimon and Rav Yehuda if Shalo is not the Kederach HaMasnadim. At least the beginning of the Gemara. Maybe then the Gemara changed afterwards. We had a difficulty with that contradiction. So according to Rabbi Bechama, this Mishnah is a continuation of Mishnah before. The Agav it's one tonight, but that's not the main point of the Gemara. According to Rava, the main point of the Gemara is what he meant in his tonight. The case over here about being a Nazir from Basar, that was said already yesterday in Machlokes B'Sham Beisal. But now we're going on the side that it would be a Nazir, or you could talk about, for that matter, any Neder. It didn't have to be in Mesachas Nazirus. It could have been in Mesachas Nedarim, nothing to do with Nazirus. And when he made it tonight, this whole scenario of the door getting wedged in and the cow that's stubborn to get up, and he made a Neder, I do something if it doesn't get up, and he's ready to get it up, but it got it by itself. What did his neder mean? Did he mean if I'm not going to get it up and he didn't get it up? Or he meant that if it's not going to get up and it didn't get up? Yashikar. Yashikar, thank you. I've listened to you on the way.